Hey, what's up everyone? Miss Valley Master here, and today I've got a card review for you guys that I know Ryu would have presented to you guys in the very near future, and he would have loved doing so, but unfortunately he is not able to, and I want to make this the first card discussion I present to you guys because, like I said, I know he would have loved it. He loved all of the monsters that were similar to this, and I know a bunch of you guys will be a big fan of it. I mean, I know I like it. This card's amazing. This is Cosmic Blazar Dragon. It is basically one of the cosmic dragons from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's era. One of the others being Stardust Divine Dragon, the other one being Shooting Quasar Dragon. They're all level 12, all have 4,000 attack, and just in all around, all of them are amazingly good boss monsters. Shooting Quasar, of course, from the anime, in the episodes we never got here in America. Unfortunately, they were only released in Japan. The Stardust Divine Dragon being in the manga. This one was in neither one, actually, but it was referenced. Basically, this is from a timeline that never took place because Yusei went beyond his limits. Basically, he changed destiny, and that's why we never got to see this one. But this is the last of the three cosmic dragons. So let's go ahead and talk about its stats, effect, all that fun stuff. So it's a wind dragon, level 12, just like all the others, 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense, and it needs one tuner synchro monster plus two or more non-tuner synchro monsters to make, so it shares all those similarities with the others. Its effect is, must be synchro summoned, cannot be special summoned by other ways. During either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can banish this card until the end phase, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. But that's not it. During either player's turn, if your opponent would summon a monster or monsters, you can banish this card until the end phase, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy those cards. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card until the end phase, negate the attack, then end the battle phase. This is a quick effect. Wow. Way to have a negator for every single thing your opponent could possibly try and do in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This thing basically says you want to attack, you want to summon, you want to do an effect, you want to do anything. No. I have the ability to say no to any one of those things. The only thing your opponent will be able to do freely with no response from this card is basically end their turn. That is the only thing they can do, and they know it won't get negated. Anything else they might want to try, you have the option of putting a stop to it. Now, what's absolutely amazing about this card, though, that's a pretty insane effect, but it's definitely more balanced than a lot of other cards in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Nowadays are. I mean, there are way too many boss monsters nowadays, which basically says it's either impossible to get rid of this card, or it's impossible to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For some other reason, like you can't summon monsters, or you can't activate this or that. Basically, if you allow me to exist, there is no option except surrendering. You can either surrender now or you can lose in a few turns. There's no other options. But this card is not like that. This card is absolutely amazing at what it does, but it's a lot more balanced. Basically the amount of effort you have to put into making this card versus the amount of reward you get for doing so is pretty well balanced in my opinion. Now let's go ahead and talk about a few things just to clarify exactly what this card does and stuff like that. So it can't be synchro summoned, or it can't be special summoned except for synchro summoning. My apologies. So you might be thinking, well, does that mean it, is there any kind of problem there, inherent risk? Not really. This thing, unlike the other Stardust Dragons, does not special summon itself back from the graveyard. It merely returns to the field. It's like Omega in that sense, and that's really, really crucial. That means you can get around things like Vanity's Emptiness and just other cards that try to stop you from special summoning. If you special summon this thing back, your opponent cannot Solemn Strike you to get rid of it or something like that. It merely returns to the field. There's no option to chain anything, no nothing, And it gets around anything that tries to stop summons, like I said. also, another thing to keep in mind is that means if you bring this thing out, oh man, what is it called? Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of the spell card. There's basically a spell card that says you can tribute like a synchro tuner and a synchro non-tuner monster to special summon a synchro monster from the deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but basically you could bring this card out off of that, and then even though it wasn't technically synchro summoned in the correct way, you don't have to worry about it not bringing itself back to the field the way you have to with Stardust and Starlight Road. I mean, Starlight Road, basically, if you activate and you get a Stardust Dragon, you get to use its effect if you want to negate a destruction effect, but then it can't special summon itself back from the graveyard because of the fact that it wasn't synchro summoned properly in the first place. This card has no such limitations on it. It will return to the field because it's not trying to bring itself back via summon. It's simply fulfilling the second condition of its effect. So this thing just has a number of advantages over its Stardust Dragon counterparts. In addition to that, this thing removes itself from the field when it negates any card effect, right? So it's basically safe from almost anything your opponent's going to try and do to get rid of it on that turn. I mean, with the exception of one or two cards in the game which will allow you to get around this thing, there are very, very few cards that exist that can actually get rid of this thing altogether. You know, this thing is going to leave the field, come back, leave the field, come back. This thing is determined to keep coming back to your side of the field no matter what your opponent does. Because, you know, even if you negate this card's ability to negate with, say, Crystal Wing, let's say I have a Crystal Wing, you have this card, and I negate this card trying to negate one of my monster effects with my Crystal Wing, this thing will not have its effect go off, so I still get my monster effect, but this thing does not have to successfully activate its effect to negate another effect in order to come back to your side of the field. You see what I'm saying? No matter if this thing successfully resolves its effect or not, it still comes back to your side of the field. And like I said, since it's a cost to remove it, removing it from the field is a cost to negate the effect, it leaves the field immediately. So it's not like your opponent can then chain something onto this effect going off in order to destroy it, like with a Solemn Strike or something like that. That just doesn't happen. So this thing is just a very persistent little bugger, to say the least, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait to start trying this out in a couple of decks. I haven't played with Yang Zings or Synchrons in a long time, but I might just have to pick those things up again because of the fact that I just like this card so much. I really want to put a couple of these things on board and just see how my opponent deals with it. Alright, that's going to do it, I suppose, for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. This card, one more time, this card is awesome. I absolutely love this card, and I wish Ryu could have presented the card review for you guys himself, but unfortunately just didn't happen. But hopefully I did a pretty good job. As always, guys, comment, rate, and subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you all later.